To begin your oil pastel donut, you must start off with the icing section first. Find the colours you will need and have them ready to go. Start off by working on your mark making techniques. The technique that works best to create a gradually blended and smooth oil pastel drawing is the scribbling technique. Try to section off areas which you know are going to be lighter and require brighter highlights. In those sections, apply the oil pastel colour in a lighter motion and try to leave some room for white areas. So do not push as hard as you can on certain areas. Try to leave some white space between your marks. As you can see, when I go over those sections with the oil pastel, the white oil pastel, it's able to create a much lighter pink. So these sections here, I've done a scribbling mark making technique, and I'm using a swirling motion with the white oil pastel to blend that in together to make it a more smoother, lighter, and less abrasive pink colour. When you apply white oil pastel to a section, it neutralizes the colour and also gets it to blend into the paper. It also takes away the marks that you're making, so you cannot see the specific directions you were scribbling in, but more so it kind of makes it blend out. The inside of your donut, I've noticed on mine that there is definitely some areas of darker pink and darker red. So this is where I need to use accurate colours to create a naturalistic oil pastel drawing. Certain areas are going to be brighter, and that's where you're going to need to use white to get those areas of highlights and highlights your brightest areas. Certain areas are going to need to be darker. That's where you must use darker shades of whichever colour is the dominant colour in your oil pastel drawing. So I did this by dividing out my sections, as you see in the beginning, and then making sure that I knew which area was brightest by applying the white oil pastel on top of it. White oil pastel also works great because you can blend colours in together regardless of if the colours were put on there too heavy in the first place. So it kind of gets everything to blend together nicely so your sections don't have hard lines in between them. And that's what we don't want to see. We want to see a gradual blend from one colour into the other, or from one shade into another shade. Try to leave no areas of white paper showing in certain sections. So as you can see, when you put the white oil pastel down, the grain of the paper starts to show through. But when you apply the white oil pastel on top and then go in a circular motion, it starts to fill out those areas. Here I'm working on the shadow, so I've gone there with a brown and a grey, and I've gone over it with the white oil pastel to blend it back out, so that shadow becomes a lot more softer. You can decide if you want to change the colour. So for instance, the brown I had wasn't quite yellowy enough. So what I decided to do is I decided to put the brown first, and I decided to put a bit of yellow on top. And then when I used the white oil pastel to blend, the brown and the yellow created a more golden brown, which is better for my donut. As you see, I've tried to leave a section there with a little crease in between one top section of your donut to your bottom is. It's a little white line. And here I'm going back over with some darker oil pastels, a darker brown, to give the burnt crispness back to the image. Here you can see the shadow there, and I'm going to go back over that with white oil pastel. Started off with the grey, but I'm blending out with the white oil pastel.